Does that bring back some good memories for y'all? Yeah. Good memories. Yeah, we've had a really fun year this year, I think, with the 20th anniversary. So hopefully you all had a good time, at least at one of the events that you had a good time at. But that luau was, other than being a little chilly that night, I saw a lot of residents leave right as the break happened, and I was like, oh no, all the residents are leaving. But you all came back with jackets on at that point, so it was very good. So while Michelle's getting me set up here, I thought I'd share a quick little story with you that you might find interesting. Kind of going back a little bit, how many of you all remember that Olympic downhill skier? She had a unique name. It's Peekaboo Street. You all remember that? I don't know if you all know this, but her family was pretty well off. I don't know if you knew that or not. And the hospital in her area actually approached them because they were doing a building campaign. And they approached them and said, hey, would you be willing to kind of contribute towards this? Well, they bought into it hook, line, and sinker and decided that they were going to fund a whole new section. They actually did an intensive care unit for them. And so they were trying to decide, the hospital was so grateful, they were trying to decide how they were going to name this intensive care unit. And so guess what they came up with? Peekaboo, I see you. I know. What's funny is I was telling Lisa this yesterday. I was like, I think I'm going to tell them this story. And she goes, have you ever told that story before? I said, a long time ago. So some of you who have been here a long time might remember I actually said that once before, and that was probably about 10 or 12 years ago. But I was like, well, either they will remember, or most of them probably won't remember from 10 or 12 years ago anyway, because I didn't even remember the last time I even said it. But anyway, well, let's get started. So, I always think this is kind of fun. If you have moved in within the last 6 months and you're here today, why don't you stand up real quick? Let's go ahead and recognize anybody who's moved in the last 6 months. All right, let's give a hand to our new folks here that are here with us today. All right, how about any time in the last 3 years? If you've moved in the last 3 years, stand up if you've been getting here in the last 3 years. Wow, awesome, that's great. All right, let's give them a hand. All right, let's do up to 5 years. If you're from 3 to 5, stand up if you've been 3 to 5 years. All right, we got a good group for that. That's awesome. All right, now we're going to make a big jump from 5 to 10 years. If you've been here from 5 to 10 years, stand up. Wow, okay. Wow, look at that. Okay, so now the big question. Has anybody been here longer than 10 years? If you can, stand up, okay? 10 and a half. 10 and a half. So let's give them a hand. I'll tell you what, just for fun, let's see, who's probably been here the longest? Who do you think's probably been here the longest? The Wagstaffs? You all, Bob, you've been here since how long?
Since 05.
05. Wagstaffs?
When you opened.
So okay, yeah. And Joanne?
05.
05. So the Wagstaffs win the contest today. See Lisa for a prize afterwards, okay? A bottle of wine, that's usually our prize. So it's pretty neat. Wow, lots changed in 21 years. I actually hit my 21st anniversary this month, so it's kind of hard to believe it's been that long. But okay, so thank you, I appreciate that. You may not be applauding after the presentation today, but I have to tell you, I worked on this presentation, and I was showing it to Michelle, and Michelle said, Tom, your presentations are really boring and really, your slides are not really good. She goes, give it to me and I'll try and spruce them up for you a little bit. She goes, I don't know if I can do a lot for you, but I'll try. So I haven't even seen the new slides yet at this point. So you're seeing them as well as I am. And while I'm thinking about Michelle, she put together that little montage of pictures for earlier today. So give her a big hand for that. That was a nice thing she did. And in typical Tom Smith style, I went to her at 5 o'clock yesterday and said, hey, can you do this before tomorrow morning's meeting? So she was able to figure it out. But all right, let's get started. Let's go with the Olympics. Wow, look at this. Out of all the events we had, River Landing won 23 gold medals at different events. 18 silver medals and 12 bronze medals. I am very proud of you all. That was great. I just think that's awesome. We really had a great showing at the Olympics. Almost a little embarrassing, I'm gonna be honest with you. Standing in the back and, okay, who's gonna go river landing again? You know, river landing goes up, gets a gold. So, but no, you all, the Olympics are a lot of fun. Let's give our wellness coordinator and wellness director and all, they do a great job. Courtney, Jill, and Whitney, they really do a lot. And I don't know if some of you that went to the other communities, you probably noticed, we don't just run ours. We end up running a lot at the other communities as well. And I think that's just because we do it well. We've got a team that does it very well. And so, you know, Whitney, Jill, and Courtney, we'd be lost without them. They do a great job. So congratulations, everybody. And I didn't want to steal a lot of thunder from them because I know next week there's going to be an Olympic celebration, but I just thought that was pretty neat. All right, so let's talk a little bit about occupancy and where we are as of today. So as of today, we have 634 residents living at River Landing, 187 couples, and then you can see what our current level of occupancy is in each of our different levels of care. Overall, we have 470 total living accommodations here, and right now we got 455 of those 470 actually occupied. So I see Kathy taking a picture. So we're gonna put this on CareMerge, correct? So if you wanna see the slides later, you can do that. If you really wanna have a printed copy of it, just go see Michelle or Allison, and they'll make sure you get a printed copy if you'd like to have that. Yeah, because it's a lot of information today. All right, let's keep moving on. So marketing update. Well, our marketing plan is just really you all. I mean, you sell the place more than our marketing people do, and so you do a great job of it, but thank you. So we've got several move-ins planned between now and the end of the calendar year. We have 705 residents of the future agreements. That's households, that's not even people. When you add in the couples, we're up over 1,000 people looking to try and get in. So I am looking for volunteers who want to give up their accommodations here for the new people to move in. Do I have any volunteers? I don't think I see any. Yeah, I got plenty of room in my office, John. Come on in, you can join me. So, but look at this. This was what amazed me. Look at where we were last year at this time when I did this presentation, 550. We've added 155 agreements, and that's net, meaning that's taking into account the folks that actually came off our list because they moved into another community or something else would have precluded them from taking their name off of it. But you could see our marketing team continues to do a really good job. You know, we have technically 354 homes in independent living. So if you multiply that times 2, you get 708. I tried to do the math for you. So look, we are almost where we are double outside waiting to get in what we have here already. So I think that says a lot for you all because they want to come and be where the fun is and where all the great residents are, and they want to come and join you. So I think that's really says a lot about our community, and it's great that we have a good wait list. And then we've had 28 move-ins so far this year in independent, or I should say we had 28 move-ins in independent living this past fiscal year. Remember, our fiscal year runs from October 1st to September 30th. That's our fiscal year. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about BrightSpire as an organization, and then I'm going to also flip back and forth between River Landing as a community. So first, we'll just start talking a little bit about our financial highlights. This is as of July 31st. So our net operating income, we haven't had a good year so far. We're about $1.1 million less than where we budgeted to be. And what were the reasons for this? So you probably all mostly know what a lot of those reasons are, but let me share. Inflation has been an issue for us, right? Staffing, at the beginning of this last year, we had agency staffing in our nursing. We couldn't get enough nursing personnel. Fortunately, we're not there anymore. We don't have agency anymore. We have our own staff, but still, we had that expense earlier in the year. Insurance, our employee group health insurance, crazy this year. As an organization, we're self-insured. So, we fluctuate based upon the usage of the insurance by our staff. And so we've had a lot more cases, a lot more utilization of the employee health insurance this year. So as an organization, we're $1.2 million higher in costs this year than what we had budgeted for. But some of the good stuff, $15.5 million worth of cash investments in our foundation. Our foundation's doing well. You know, you all are like me, like everybody else, you know, with the market. You know, the market's been kind of like all over the place this year, right? So, but, you know, it's come up a little bit since last year, I will tell you that. Same thing with our cash and investments and operations. We're up over $108 million in cash and investments. Our debt service coverage ratio, which is one of our bond covenants, we're at 1.68 versus a budget of 1.88. And then days cash on hand, which again is another bond covenant that we have. We're 561 days cash on hand. We're required to be at 120 as an obligated group. Let me explain that. The obligated group means River Landing, Scotia Village, and Glen Eyre all together with our corporate office. That's the obligated group. So when I show you debt service coverage ratio or days cash on hand for River Landing, that we stand on our own, but not from a bond covenant standpoint. From a bond covenant standpoint, they look at all of our communities together. That's how we borrow the money. So I thought I'd just try and explain that to you. We got $274 million in outstanding debt. I'm happy to say that that is not mostly River Landing anymore. It used to be, but you know, with the Glen Eyre project going on, a lot of that is Glen Eyre now. And then this is nice. We've had a BBB+ rating from Fitch for the last several years now, and they actually did usually they do a big deal when they renew it every year to have a big meeting with our corporate team and talk through it. This year they kind of called us and said, they asked about 3 questions and they said, okay, we're just reaffirming your BBB+. So again, I think that shows you how strong we are as an organization, which is really good. All right, so let's compare that with River Landing. River Landing right now has $75 million in cash and investments on hand through operations. So 75 million versus 108, right? So a lot of that is our money, and I look at it as our money. That's my money, you know, it's your money, it's our money, right? It's not, but it feels that way to me anyway. We got $8 million cash in the foundation. And we have our net operating income is about $124,000 less than what we budgeted it to be. So here's what's happened this year, and I didn't put this in here, but I was going to explain it. So all the same things that we were having from a corporate standpoint that are issues here at River Landing as well. Inflation, staffing agency, all those things. The reason it's not more is because on the revenue side, and you saw that from our occupancy level, we have been fuller here than our sister communities. And so even our nursing center has been full. We've really made a lot of progress in filling our nursing center so that we can keep driving that revenue side. So we are really, I'm just gonna say this, we're about $1 million to the good on the revenue side and about $1.2 million to the bad on the expense side. So we've spent a lot more this year than what we budgeted to, but we've made a lot of that up because we've been more filled than what we were budgeted to be. So does that make sense? So I just want to make sure I kind of explain that to you all. And then we have here at River Landing, we're at $83.6 million in total outstanding debt. Do you remember what the number was from? 274 million, and ours is, we have 83 million of that. So most of that is not Scotia Village. Most of that is Glen Eyre with their new project. So we have always been the ones for the last 20 years have been the one that kind of stuck out because we've had the most debt because our community is the newest and we've been adding on and doing all those things. You know, now when I go to finance committee meetings, they don't talk about River Landing's debt anymore. It's really kind of nice, I have to be honest with you. So, okay, let's keep moving on. Bond covenant wise, we're at a 1.36. We're budgeted to be at a 1.53. Again, from an obligated group standpoint, as a total organization, we're supposed to be at a 1.2. I always used to say, as long as River Landing was higher than 1.2, didn't have to worry about the rest of the organization because the rest of the organization didn't have a lot of bonds or financing outstanding. But now with Glen Eyre in there, that's going to change a little bit. But we're doing very well. And then days cash on hand, you can see we're at 872, budgeted to be at 868. And then if you add the foundation monies into it, we're 972. So Tim Webster hates this, but I always like this analogy. He's the one that told me this to begin with, but he doesn't like me using it. So, and I'll tell you why he won't. You'll figure out why I say that. So what this means, days cash on hand is, if you all didn't pay us another dime, how long would we be able to survive without having to go into debt or or have problems? And so we have $872 worth of cash that 172 days worth of cash that we can go on. So Tim doesn't like that for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think he likes the idea that I'm putting in your mind that you shouldn't be paying your monthly service fees, I think is what he's trying to do. Okay. All right, this is what you all really wanted to know. What's our budget going to be for next year? So let's get into that. From an organization standpoint for BrightSpire, total revenues of about, we're going to go over $90 million next year. And it was about 75 this year is what we budgeted. So why is it so much? Anybody want to guess why we're going to be able to generate more revenue next year? Glen Air, right. Glen Air is going to start hitting with the new apartments. Yeah, I gave you a little hint there. Yeah, I did. So 192 apartments. They started moving people in this week. So next 6 months, it's going to take them 6 months to move everybody in 192 apartments. Expect to exceed all of our bond covenants this next year. Budgeting an operating gain of $7.5 million before debt service. Operating positive cash flow of about just less than $1 million. 442 days cash on hand. Remember, our obligated group is 120 for bond covenants. And then a debt service coverage ratio of 1.98 versus, again, an obligated bond covenant of 1.2. BrightSpire, capital budget. So you can see Scotia got capital budget items worth about $1 million. Glen Air's $3.5 million. We're about $3 million. We are going to be working on some things. We're 21 years old now, so things like roofs and things like that are starting to come up on our list. You may remember last year, may or may not remember, we started on the roof at the healthcare center last year. Do you all remember when we did that? So we're going to be working our way around a little bit more this year. I think, if I remember right, Lisa, we're actually going to be starting on some of the cottages as well. Some of the original cottages, we might be starting to replace roofs. So it's getting to be about that time again when we start really looking at that. And that, Kevin Essick, our director of maintenance, he does a fantastic job with this. I think you all might remember that we had a facilities report done for us by an outside organization, listed all of our assets, gave us useful life. It's this huge spreadsheet that we have. And the neat thing about it is every year it generates kind of what we should be looking at as far as replacement based on useful life. And so Kevin does a really good job of keeping that up so that when we do replace things, we're putting in a new useful life, we're putting in all that new stuff. And it's really kind of become a little bit of our Bible for how we approach replacement of assets here at the community. So it's really been good. I think we're the only community that has that, and I think it's really helpful for us to have that. We're big enough that we need something like that. So, like I said, Kevin does a good job of that. Special project this year, look, Glen Air is very happy to say they don't have any for this year since they've been working on their new building for all this time. We don't have any special projects this year other than St. Andrews. I think you all know we're going to be doing the St. Andrews project. It's not big enough to be listed as a special project here, but we're going to be doing the renovation, and I'll talk about that in a couple minutes about that. And in Scotia, they still are doing some building down there, some homes that they're building. Not doing a lot, but they've got a few things that they're doing down there. Okay, River Landing budget. So what are we budgeting for occupancy for next year? We're budgeting for independent living to be 340 out of our 354 homes. Assisted living to be 39 out of 40. Nursing and rehab, which is Pebble Beach and Wingfoot, 56 out of 60. And then St. Andrews and memory care, 14 out of 16 is what we're looking to be budgeted at. So it's a total of 449 out of our 470. So, which is 95.5%. We pretty much consider 95% to be full occupancy here. If we are at 95%, we know that there's always going to be transition, as you all know, in the different levels of care. So we're going to be budgeting just slightly above what I consider to be 95% full occupancy here. Okay, let's keep going. So revenues versus expenses. We are budgeting to be a net gain before bond payment of $8.7 million. And we need that $8.7 million because we have a bond payment of $10.5 million that's due this year. Expecting a positive cash flow of about $4 million. Debt service coverage ratio here at River Landing at 1.69, and we're budgeting to be at 819 days. And then EBITDA, anybody know what that is? Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Oh, you are good. You all are good. I'm impressed. So, EBITDA. I don't know who, it must have been an accountant that must have come up with that. Don't you think it was an accountant that must have come up with that? So, yeah. Okay. So what are our expenses going to be this year? What are the main things driving our budget this year? So I don't know if you all know this. I'm assuming you do. About 2/3 of our expenses are all staff related. I mean, we're very much a very service-oriented operation here, so a lot of our expenses are staff. Wages will increase by 4% in total this year on average. You all know this. I think we've said this before, and I think you saw it earlier. Employee group health insurance, we're taking a $400,000 hit on our budget this year. And I'm going to just be honest with you, I don't know if that's going to be enough. I mean, this past year, we've had about $750,000 over budget. So now again, that fluctuates based upon what's going on with our staff members and families that are covered on the insurance. Because remember, we're self-insured. So, we're paying that bill each month, and then we have a stop loss that's basically that we negotiate with an insurance company to help us with that. But so it's every year it's a little bit of a crapshoot about where that's going to fall. Staffing continues to be a challenge for us and for really everybody. I will say we are in a much better shape than what we were last year. Last year at this time when I was talking to y'all, you may or may not remember, it was pretty rough. We had a lot of openings. We were using agency in our nursing area, and the wage pressures right now is the big thing. I feel like we've got the last couple of years we really have been working towards raising our salaries for our staff members, and so I think we've done a good job of that. This year we're not doing a wholesale increase at the beginning of the fiscal year like we've done the last 2 years, trying to stay up with competition. But there are some certain positions that Lisa and I have been talking with our corporate team about that we need to keep working on, because it's just, there are just some areas where it's really hard to get people and get really good people. So we're working on some of those areas, trying to bring up the salary range of those folks so that we can be in a better competitive position. But staffing is just going to continue to be a challenge. And you all know this. There's a lot of people that are going out of the workforce still. There's a lot of boomers that are leaving the workforce. There's just a lot of people and it's just changed. When you all were working, and some of you are still, so don't let me forget that, but when you were working, there was a real work ethic, and you stayed with the company, and you grew with a company, and you were loyal to a company, and it's just, we still have a lot of that, don't get me wrong, but I'm seeing a lot more of people just leaving for various reasons that don't make any sense to me at all, but they do anyway. And so, it's just going to be a challenge for us, just like everywhere else. And I can tell you, the executive director at Glenair and the executive director at Scotia are having this exact same conversation with their residents right now, talking about the same thing. Inflation, it's starting. I'm starting to see the inflation. You all starting to see the inflation start to curb a little bit, but it's still fluctuating between 5% and 7%. If you go out to the grocery store and buy anything, you see it. I don't know about you all, but I'm going to be losing weight here because I can't afford the food that's in the grocery store. So maybe that's not such a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, and then utilities. Oh my goodness, Duke Power told us. Kevin and I met with Duke Power a couple months ago, and they said expect a 10 to 15% increase in your utilities this year. We're like, and utilities are not cheap here, y'all. I mean, you all know this. I mean, we've got a big place here. So all this goes into our wage pressure, into our pressures for expenses for this year. So, all right, here's the big slide that you want to see. So, we're doing a 5.75% increase in here. Does anybody remember what it was last year? 7. So the good news to take from this is, what I like is we're starting hopefully back a downward trend again, and I'm hoping that's going to continue. But as you can see, we're right in the mix with everybody else as far as what that increase is going to be, and it's across the board 5.75. If you look at our rate increase history, I always think this slide is very telling. From the beginning of time, from 20 years ago, what our increases have been. And we know the last couple of years have been challenging, but I don't know that we're ever going to get back down to 2 and 2.5% increases again. I sure hope so, for your sake and for mine. I'd like to move into this community one day, and so I'd like to keep the rates down as far as I can, so I can afford to come in here with you all. But I think we're on a good trend right now. We're moving down. I'm really hoping that we can keep that the percentage dropping, and so. But that's where we are right now. That's where we think we need to be able to kind of stay status quo. So I'm not going to take too long, but you can look at your unit and you can kind of see what the numbers are real quick. But again, this will be available in CareMerge, or you can get a printed copy if you want. All these rates go into effect January 1. Same thing with, obviously, for our assisted living and our healthcare. Entrance fees this year, see, you all were smart. You came in early when the entrance fees are really low, right? You're really low, you paid entrance fees, right? So, no, I'm right, I'm kidding you. But they're going up every year. They're going up 5%. Last year was between 5 and 8%. This year they're going up 5% again. So, think about those poor chaps, those 705 that are sitting there waiting out there, and they're going to have to keep taking the hits on the entrance fees until we can get them in here. But like I said, you all were smart moving in when you did. Okay, so I'm moving away from that. It's going to be kind of a quick hitter here. Let's move into a couple other things that I thought would be fun to talk about. You all nailed the Residents Assistance Fund this year, the annual appeal. The Keys did a great job. Certainly helped us to have an anonymous donor who did a challenge gift for $60,000. This is the earliest we've ever beaten the target goal. So I was really happy about that. We're at $172,000 right now, and we're still accepting annual appeal dollars if you want to give. Just because we reach a goal doesn't mean that we've stopped asking folks for being able to help us with that. So we'll continue through that through the rest of the year. But it's been really great. I just want to say thank you all. For those residents that can't pay for the full cost of their care to live here, who've maybe outlived their assets, these contributions are helping them and helping us be able to take care of those folks. So thank you for doing that. And then the scholarship fund. How many of you got a chance to come to the scholarship award ceremony back in July? Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? 22 scholarship recipients, $28,000. We are the youngest community out of the three, but we are already way above the other two communities as far as the amount of money that we give for scholarships. I want to say, I just heard this, I think totally as an organization we gave $35 million. I'm sorry, $1 million, wouldn't that be great? $35,000 to scholarship recipients this year. So, we've got 28 here. So just, you all have really kind of bought into that, and I really appreciate that, on behalf of the staff. We had 22 very happy scholarship winners this year. And if you were here, you saw the families were here in full force, and it was just a lot of fun. It was just a really good event. And then we added I'm sorry, I didn't mean to miss this. We added an educational scholarship again this year for Edna and Jim Landon, and so we appreciate that. So if my memory is right, we've got 4 scholarships, and then we've got the River Landing Scholarship as well. So 5 different scholarships that we've been giving out. So just fantastic. Employee Appreciation Fund. Barbara's right here. Barbara, raise your hand, Barbara. Barbara's right here. You might remember her. She's infamous now for Where's the Beef, okay? So but Barbara is going to be running the campaign again this year. Thank you, Barbara, for doing it. It's 2 years in a row. You're a glutton for punishment, Barbara. You're a glutton. So contributions are accepted all year long, of course, and we've started our campaign. So signs will be going out. If they haven't gone out yet, they're going to probably be going out shortly into the areas. Our staff Christmas party is Friday, the 8th of December. Would love to have you all come if you'd like to be able to come and see your housekeepers and your maintenance and your dining folks and all get their checks. That's always a fun occasion too. Hopefully you all will come out and be a part of that. That's a joyous day. It's the one time a year I get to see a lot of staff members, and I don't know why. I get to see a lot of them that time. So, but you know, really, you all are so generous with your money, and I just appreciate that you do that. It makes a big deal for our staff, and you know, for a lot of those folks, they don't have Christmas without you all. So, in some cases, they don't have heat without you all. I've had a couple that have come to me over the years and said, you know, I've been using a kerosene heater in my house because I can't afford to be able to pay the electric bill or the gas bill. And so this money has enabled me to turn my gas back on in my house. So you just don't know until you hear. You don't know the situation for each person. And so this really it's huge for our staff. So thank you. Okay, how many came to the Sandy Ridge Road widening thing? That was really good. You know, Greg Venable came out and he had a couple of representatives from the North Carolina Department of Transportation with him. This is just a little bit of a summary of what he said and then a couple other things. But, you know, I thought it might be good as a quick little reminder. They're going to be, Sandy Ridge Road is going to become a 4-lane road with a median. They're even going to have a 10-foot wide path on our side and another sidewalk on the other side. I mean, it's going to be quite a little road when they're all said and done. So the right-of-way does, obviously there's right-of-way is going to be taken on both sides of Sandy Ridge Road, up and down, Sandy Ridge Road up and down. Where we're going to get burned a little bit is on not so much the right-of-way, but the temporary clearing area, which is next to the right-of-way. And so when they came in, you know, there was a while there that I thought we were going to lose our waterfall because it's right on the corner of the clearing area. Well, we've been fighting for a waiver of that, and you heard them say at the meeting that we got the waiver, which is great. But they're going to go in and they're going to invade a lot of our front berm when they go in and clear that area. So, you know, we're going to either have to replace the berm when they're done or put a fence up. And of course, you know, we'll be negotiating with them monies to be able to do that because they're disrupting our property. But we're going to get a lot of that when that all starts. So it's a multi-phase project. We learned a little something, at least I did. You know, the way they got it set up now, they're actually going to be coming from Skeet Club up to 40. That's a change, I will tell you, because they were originally going to start with 40 and come back down this way towards Skeet Club. And I think it's just because they've been buying the right-of-ways at this point, and they've been having an easier time buying the right-of-ways from Skeet Club up as opposed to coming from 40 on down. So, you know, unfortunately, if you saw the area between phase 1 and phase 2, which we're in, phase 1 comes up, goes past Lynx, and phase 2 starts kind of in the middle of our property and goes past John Knox. So I was talking to them a good bit after that meeting and just said, you know, is there a way we can change that? I just as soon have, you know, us get it done all in phase 1 and be done with it. And they said, you know, once they pick the contractor, because they're going to have it out for bid here before long. Their plan is to have a contractor picked by July, and that they're hoping to be able to maybe start next fall is really what they're talking about with the road. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not. You know, we're talking about North Carolina DOT. I mean, it just, you know, you never know what there really is going to end up happening. But, you know, they said, look, it's all really going to depend on the contractor and who we pick. Because there may not really even be a real phase 1, phase 2. It may be kind of a continuation type of thing where they're just kind of keep moving on. And so they said, we'll know a lot more when we have a construction company chosen and we get started with this. So we'll see what happens with that. But just as a reminder, you already saw they got the new light up on the other ends working now. So we got 2 lights now on Sandy Ridge Road. We're going to be 8 by the time we're done. And remember, we're going to have a light right at John Knox. They're going to straighten out Kendale to intersect with the front of our John Knox right by the gatehouse, and then we'll have a light right there. And so I don't think that can happen soon enough for me. I just think it'd be a lot safer for our residents and for our staff to have a light there. So I'm actually looking forward to them getting started, and I'm hoping we can get that in as part of phase 1. Okay, other information. So Lisa is so excited. because on October 15th, this Sunday, the new quarterly surveys for residents who moved in October, November, December will be coming out. So for you that haven't had a chance, that moved in any year, October, November, December, you're going to be getting a survey. And if you put anything on there that requires Lisa to call you, Lisa's going to be calling you. And so you love this, Lisa, don't you? She loves this. Just a point, these are not anonymous. So if you put Tom Smith as an SOB on there, I'm going to know who you are, okay? So just want to give you a little bit of a heads up that that's going to be on. And maybe you're okay with Tom Smith knowing that you think he's an SOB, and I'm okay with that. But, I just want you to know, we had a couple residents that kind of like, oh, I didn't know this wasn't anonymous, and I probably would have said something a little different. And I said, no, this is an opportunity for us to kind of feel you out a little bit, to see how you're doing, what areas maybe that we can kind of concentrate on. And we're really looking for trends, Lisa. We're looking for things that we can kind of improve. One of the areas that came out of this is we ended up knowing that we had a little bit of a housekeeping issue with the new cottages and then the new hybrids. And we just, we missed the mark there. And so we've been trying to fix that. So there's been some really good things that have come out of the survey from you all that have really benefited us. And so I think it's been a really good process. Lisa may not agree with me, but I think it's been a really good process. So no, I'm kidding. I think Lisa's, actually, she loves being able to have a chance to be able to talk to you. So that's coming out. Paving project, I just, I want to say thank you. I think the contractor's really done a great job for us. I think it's gone pretty smoothly. There's been a little bit of hitches here and there. They haven't been perfect. But we're continuing on, and we're going to hit a little bit of the hard part, y'all, right now, because we're actually now doing roads, interior roads. And so that means planning ahead for you all. You're not going to be able to use your street for a whole day. So, parking your car, us trying to get you to and from your car, if you have to park down here or whatever, that day that your road's being done. I know that's a pain, and I'm sorry about that, but I think you can see the results of what's happening, in the areas that are done. It's looking really good. And, I am really excited because I think we're going to be done, hopefully right around the end of October, we're going to be done with all the sealing work. And we're doing every asphalt road we have is going to be done. And I really wanted to do that because when I retire in 5 or 6 years, I want Lisa to have that problem, not me anymore. So we're going to be but it's going to look really good. I hope you all have liked it. And I really am really happy with the way this new back parking lot has turned out. It feels like, Lisa and I were talking about this, it feels like that was planned right from the beginning almost. So I think it's worked out really well. But thank you for your patience. I know it hasn't been easy, but I think it's a good project and we're almost done. And then I mentioned this already, but we have out for bid the St. Andrews renovation. Really, out of all of our areas, the one area we really haven't done a ton of stuff in is St. Andrews. We've done new furniture and things like that over the years, or new carpet or whatever, but kind of really looking at St. Andrews and trying to renovating that area. That's about to start. We've got that out for bid. We have 5 construction companies, I think, that are looking at it and going to bid on it. And I was just talking to our in-house construction manager, and he's kind of the one running this for us. And he seems to think that there's a really good chance we're going to start by the end of the year, that we'll get started with that. Now, the hard part about that for our residents over there is that we're going to do that while residents are in there. So, and we don't have, you all know this, you could solve our numbers. I don't have 16 other beds. We can just move 16 residents out of there and put them in other places. So we're going to be doing it in stages, probably 4 rooms at a time is what we're going to end up doing. And so we will be displacing some residents over there as we go through this process. And it may take, we don't have the construction company yet, so we're not sure exactly how long it's going to end up taking in each area, but I'm guessing it could take us up to a year to actually finish all of what we want to do over there. But one of the good things, I think, one of the neat things that we're doing over there is, if you've ever been over in St. Andrews, they have an outdoor porch area. And so we're actually going to enclose that outdoor porch and make it a sunroom for our residents over there. We think that'll be really a nice upfit. And then also, if you've seen those rooms, I'm giving you a lot more detail maybe than you want to know, but I'm going to give you a little bit bits and pieces. If you've ever seen one of the individual rooms there, we have a closet that's in there that was, I think personally, was done after the fact. I don't think they realized that we didn't have any closet space in there. And so somebody put these big monstrosity closets that come out, and they put them in really what I consider to be a really bad location, because it's really on the one wall that you could actually have a dresser and that you could put a TV over and everything else. And so we're gonna fix that. We're gonna pull those out of there. We're gonna actually bring out the entrances to each room out and do a built-in closet that you have when they walk into the room, so that they get that part of that room back. Because I think it's, the living area there is really tight as it is, and so I think it'll be really nice. So I think it's gonna be really good, and there's a lot more going on to that than that, but I'm going to give you a couple of the pieces that I think are gonna make that special. And so, we'll keep you up to date on that, but I'm expecting that we're gonna start that by the end of the year. Got great news for y'all. We have been fighting this battle as an organization, really, and as a state. We just found out that our lobbyists for our CCRCs have been successful in getting new legislation passed that exempts resident monthly service fees from taxation. There was a scare there for a while. Yeah, that's awesome. Some of you that have been around here for a while know that we've been working on this for about 4 years now, maybe 5. And so I'll tell you what it took. This is Tom Smith talking, in my opinion. It took having casinos being threatened to be brought into certain areas for this to be slipped in while nobody was looking, so that, because they were battling the casino issue. That's Tom Smith. I don't believe that probably is really the case, but it felt that way. It might be, yeah, it might very well be, right, Joe? So the great news about this is, your monthly service fees are safe. We were starting to calculate how much money this was going to end up being, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars on a yearly basis that would be taxable. And guess who was probably going to end up paying that tax bill? Yeah, I hate to say it, you all would probably be paying that tax bill. So, the fact that we got this through is just a huge win, and I was really excited about being able to share that with you today. I think that's really great. What is point 2? In the new legislation, it's saying that it really only applies to CCRC residents. So if you have guests here, or if we have visitors here, we have to charge them sales tax, on food and beverages and purchases and things like that. That's what that's talking about. So, but anything you all do or buy is free from that. So again, really, really great news. Okay, I ran across this. I had a presentation done for us, and I thought this was kind of interesting, and I thought I'd just share it with you. And if you want to fall asleep on this part, you're welcome to. But I just thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't realize there was 1,938 other CCRCs in the U.S. So that's a lot of CCRCs. We have 67, I think, here in North Carolina. But 75% of those 1,938 are not-for-profit. So just like us, they're not-for-profit. Look at this, 15,780 nursing homes in the U.S. Now look, it's flipped the other way. 23% of those are not-for-profit, 75% of those are for-profit. So might indicate a little bit about why there's such a scrutiny on the nursing home side of things, to be honest with you. And then I thought this was very interesting. So this came from the U.S. Census Bureau. Population over age 75 expected to grow from 28 million to 42 million by 2050. So, yeah, people are living longer, right? And so we got a big group. So we need lots of workers. So tell your children they need to have more children, okay? They need to, let's keep getting those bigger families in so we get more workers coming in to help us out. So, but I just, there's just a couple snippets from that I thought you might find interesting. Okay, so I'm done talking about River Landing. I thought I would just share a couple things about what's going on in some of the other communities. So I mentioned Scotia Village and their construction. So I've got some pictures to show you, and these are a little bit dated. These are a couple months ago. I don't, even corporate doesn't have them more up to date, but they are building 3 new cottages and then 1 duplex. And so they're all right here. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, did I lose it? Let me see if I can do it. So this is one here, this is one here, this is one here. So they got 3 cottages right there, and then this is their new duplex. If you've ever been to Scotia, they've got a loop road, and this is what this is. The loop road goes all the way around, and then the main campus is kind of up here somewhere. But I've just got some pictures of the new cottages, and let me see if I can get, so does the front look does it look similar to something you all know and love? You know, they look a lot like ours. And you know, I was like, Lisa was like, they look a lot like ours. And I went, yeah. I was trying to remember, because it's been a long time ago. We either took their design from them 20-some years ago, or they took ours. And I can't remember which is which, but Scotia's cottages are a lot like ours here, very similar. And so these are just some pictures. My understanding is now that this house is under roof at this point. As a matter of fact, all the houses are under roof. And they actually, the duplex I was showing you, they actually have somebody already moved into one side of it. I think this side, somebody's already moved into. So they're moving along really good at Scotia.
They got garages.
They do. They have garages, just like us. And then Glen Eyre, how many of you went to Glen Eyre for the Olympics? Did any of you go? Okay, a few of you did. Their new building's impressive. It's, you know, I was talking to our construction guy today, and I said, you know, it felt like a 5-star hotel when I walked in there. It's very well done. And so this is what it ended up looking like, y'all. It's 6 stories, 192 apartments.
How many residents will they have there?
So last I heard, it's 350 new residents coming in, and they have just over 350 residents now. So it'll basically double their size. I did get a chance, I got a special little tour, and I was in this unit right here. It's a penthouse unit. And you all thought your entrance fees were high. This was north of $900,000 for this entrance fee getting into this unit.
How big is it?
It's about 3,000 square feet of space, and it has a balcony here. And they only got 2 of them. They got one on this side and one on the other side. Interestingly, the doors here are those sliding panel doors so that they can open up to make it really big. And so our construction guy goes, yeah, they're gonna leak like crazy. One's already leaking, and it's a nightmare. But I said, okay, good, that's not my problem. We know about leaks around here, right? Anyway, it turned out really pretty. There's underneath parking here. I walked down, they took us down into the parking area. You could get lost in the parking area downstairs. I mean, I was totally confused when I was down there about which way was even how to get out of there. I mean, we might find residents down there years later and did not even know they were down there. So this is and again, this is a little dated because this is all finished now, but you know, they've got a little outdoor eating area here, and they've got a little bit of a, I guess like a entertainment area here that they can bring in folks for entertainment purposes. 192 apartments. They have 35 assisted living apartments that they added as well, and that's over here. This is where the assisted living is over here. And they've got like us, they've added 3 dining areas. It's like a little bit like a bistro type thing, maybe a grandiose bistro that they have there. Lisa and I got a chance to eat their pizza from their pizza oven. Lisa hated hers, so I thought mine was pretty good, but hers was a little burnt, wasn't it? Hers was a little burnt. Like, eat your pizza, Lisa. She goes, it's burnt. So, this is their new wellness center here. You know, it's got the same dimensions roughly as what ours is. You know, it's like a half-court gym with the chair volleyball and the pickleball and the basketball. It's a modern look to it compared to ours. You know, and I was very happy that they didn't just really do exactly the same thing there as what they did here. Ours has a very unique look to it, and I think it's funny because I asked the residents on the bus leaving Glen Eyre what they thought of the wellness center, and they said, "Oh, it's very nice. It's not ours. You know, it's not ours, but it's very nice, and it is. It's very nice. I mean, it's got a nice feel to it. But yeah, you can see it's just it's huge, and think about just adding 350. Think about here adding 350 residents within a 6-month period of time, that would be a huge undertaking. I told Ben, the executive director, I said, hey, if you need help, I'm not available, okay? So, no, we've tried to offer them our help too if they need it, but they're doing a good job. They got it ready to go, so. And then last but not least, Friends Homes, just a little bit here. You know, we've been managing them over 7 years now. Can you believe it? 7 years. Our management service agreement runs through 2028, and they have a new executive director that just started this week. Jordan Scardino is his name. Jordan comes up from Florida, and he's got 4 children, and he's a good guy. I got a chance to meet him this week. He's a good guy. Lisa got a chance to meet him a little earlier, and so we're excited for him to get started. I can tell you, Hank Lovern, who's our chief operating officer, he's very happy that Jordan's here because he's been running Friends Homes for the last 6 or 7, 8 weeks, something like that. You know, Arnie Thompson, you know, was the executive director there, and I'll just take a second. You know, he gave Friends Homes 7 great years, in my opinion. Arnie, we just had a position that just came open in the corporate office as we're getting ready to expand here. We needed help on the financial side, and for any of you that know Arnie really well, he is gifted when it comes to financial side of things, accounting side of things. And so an opportunity to be able to get him back into our corporate office doing the things that he is superbly good at was just too much to turn down. So he came back into the fold, and which we're really happy about, because now I can kid him about other things now that I couldn't kid him about before. So it's kind of, I've enjoyed that. A quick little funny story. I called Arnie on the second day at the corporate office, and I said, how you doing? And he goes, you know, you're the second phone call I've had in the last 2 days. I'm loving it. So I'm really happy for him. He's really excited. He's got like a new lease on life. And so, you know, like I said, he gave 7 great years to Friends Homes, and you know, I think this was a really good transition for him. So.
Is he going to be housed up here in our corporate?
Yes. Yeah, he's up there. She's sharing an office with Julia right now. And I asked Julia the other day, I said, how's that going with you two sharing an office together? And she goes, well, you know, they all used to work together. You know, you all probably don't even know this story, but, you know, when River Landing was started, for the first couple of years, I didn't have a Lisa or an Arnie helping me out. And so for the first couple of years, you know, we were trying to get open, trying to get moving, trying to get going with things. And so I was able to convince corporate, because Arnie wanted to come onto the field side at that point, to let Arnie come over, and Arnie he was our associate director. He was Lisa for 10 years before he moved over to Friends Homes. So, you know, it's nice because he's gone back, and the people he's working with were the people he worked with 17 years ago. 17 years ago. He's working with the same people he was working with before. So, like an old homecoming for all them. And so he's doing really well. I think, like I said, this was a great move for the organization to have him go back into that fold. And Jordan's going to do a great job. I think Jordan's going to be great at Friends Homes. So, okay, that was the presentation. I be glad for 3 minutes, because I'm not going to keep this to an hour. If there's any burning questions, I'll be glad to try and answer a question for anybody that has one. Is anybody still awake out there? Let me look. Let me see. Yeah.
This may not be fair, and that's okay to say so.
Okay.
But, does Wellspring self-insure as well?
So the question is, does Wellspring self-insure? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm sorry, Mary. I don't. You know, and I didn't mention anything about the merger, and that's partially because I don't have any real more information about the merger than you all do. You know, that's all being done at the corporate level. And quite honestly, they don't have time to get Tom up to date about what's going on with the merger too much, and that's okay. But I don't know the answer to that. You know, I thought one of the questions was going to be from you all, what was their rate increase? And I don't know that either. So I don't know what Wellspring's doing as far as I guess. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really matter what they're doing. So.
How long do they think the road project will take once they start?
Thank you. So the road widening you're talking about for Sandy Ridge Road? Yeah, so they did say that. Was it 3 years? I think they told us 3 years is what they thought. And I said, now is that ski club timing road, or is that Because I think Ski Club took 6 years, right, for them to finish that one. So he said no. He goes, we won't have quite the same issues there here as we did there. And I think that's true. They had a lot more stuff that they had to navigate on Ski Club. But yeah, so I think it's 3 years is what they said. And I'm hoping since we're going to be at the beginning of part of that, where they might get through us rather quickly. And so maybe, by the end of 2026 into 2027, they'll be done with our stuff and they're moving up north. When they get up to the farmer's market and all, that's going to be messy up there. So we're all going to be finding alternate routes to get around that, I think, because it's already bad. How many of you all go out there on a Saturday trying to get past the farmer's market? It's just, yeah, right. I don't even go that way anymore, but I'm here. I try and go a different way to get out of here so I don't go past there. But yeah. Yes, Joe.
Can we get a road over to the back side over here?
Can we get a road, you said?
Yeah.
So where would we put it?
Where that house is?
Oh, so you're asking about the house that we were looking at that we were, you mean for the expansion possibilities? Yeah, we didn't get the house. So the person that had the house decided to sell it to their daughter instead. And so we were disappointed in that. I really was kind of hoping that was going to be our, because we own, what Joe's talking about is, you all know, we have 60 acres in the back that's on the other side of hole number 3 there. And it's great, 60 acres. Half of it's buildable, half of it's in the floodplain. But we really don't have good access to it. As a matter of fact, we have an easement through somebody else's property to be able to get back to it. And even then, it goes through the 40 acres that I want to buy eventually before it gets to the 60 acres that we have. So access to it, we'd have to build a bridge here to be able to get over the floodplain to get access to that property. And as you know, Joe, I've already talked to High Point. They won't let us just use the bridge as our only access. They have to have 2 viable ways of getting in and out of the property. And the roadway we have that's an easement won't work. So as a main thoroughfare. So we just don't have access to that property right now. So, I'm sorry, y'all. We're not expanding anytime in the near future. So I know you're really upset about that, but, the reality is I won't tell you it's not out of the question that could happen someday. But right now, there's no plans for any of that. Yeah, Tom?
What's happening to some of the areas, some of the properties that juxtaposition to us, like up at the gate and back in the back corner over there?
Yeah. So, we're always on the lookout. In my opinion, if we can buy property around us to continue our boundaries so that we can reach out, we always are looking for that. But, a lot of the property on this side, which is where Pleasance Village is, first of all, Saddlebrook backs up to us there. If you go further down on Bame Road, there are several properties that kind of go along that. One of which they went ahead and actually have built a community in. They were going to do another one in there because it's 15 acres or so of property. They were going to build another one, but neighbors got up in arms, and then one of the neighbors ended up buying the property so that they couldn't expand back there. But we're always looking for property to be able to expand the boundary around River Landing. But we're getting close to a point where we're probably not going to get too much more unless we really want to go further inside, back this way, back where the 60 acres is. Like I mentioned, there's 40 acres that's connected to it that I would really like to have someday. 100 acres is plenty good for us for expansion, to be honest with you. But I've been approached by another neighbor that borders the 40 acres that has another 120 acres. And he's like, hey, if you all ever decide you want to go expand out there, I just don't think that that's going to be a vital thing for us to be able to do. So I don't know if I answered your question completely.
Yeah, what I was talking about was the space up just at the entrance at John Knox, the property to the left there.
Oh, yeah.
Back on the back corner by our maintenance building back in that area.
Yeah, okay, so I know what you're talking about. So you're talking about specific properties right there. Okay, so the one on the corner, obviously we don't own, it's a rental house right now. Once they start Sandy Ridge Road, that house is going to go away because the right of way and the right of way and the clearing area is going to go right through the middle of that house. So it's going to go away, and so that'll be part of the estate negotiating with that homeowner, who we've tried to buy that house several times from that homeowner, but they've been very insistent upon they want to keep renting it, and I get it. But that's going to go away. We're hoping that when they are finished the project, because there'll be a piece, because it only goes halfway through the house. When they finish the project, there's going to be a piece that's going to be left. We're hoping that maybe the DOT might even just give us that piece of property. I'd love to have that little piece, because that's how we get over to the management services office. We've got that cart path and all. So the more we can have there as a buffer for us, the better. So the other property you're talking about was by the maintenance building. And so I'll tell you, there's the property we bought that we built Caldwell Village on was Mr. Stafford. He has the house that's right next to the PTAR up here. He's kind of in between where our fence is, and he's got that little cutout there. His sister is actually the one that sold us the 15 acres that's right there. And he's got another 15 next to her. And we actually bought 3 acres from him so that we could build the maintenance building right there at the end of that property. And then he has another sister that owns the property next to that. And so it was funny. So I think Mr. Stafford eventually will sell us the rest of that property. At least I think he will. I went to try and talk to the other sister. I drove into their driveway, and they was like, "Oh," I said, this is great. They're standing outside. I went in, tried to pull in, and I got out of the car, and she goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Tom Smith." He goes, "Are you from River Landing?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Get the hell off my property." I went, "Okay." And we got in the car and left. So I don't think she's interested in selling to us for some reason. I don't know why. But because we had asked Mr. Stafford and his other sister to say something to her about the fact that we'd be interested in her property as well, but she's not budging. At least she wasn't a few years ago when I talked to her.
One real quick.
Yeah.
Who and they're gonna occupy all those apartments across the street?
Yeah, so I know a little bit, not a lot. So they really got slowed down because, they've been working on this thing for almost a little more than a year now. I really thought they were going to be in place to be able to start occupying a lot earlier. But this just shows you some of the problems we still continue to have with demand. They can't get electrical panels right now. They need to have individual electrical panels for those apartments. They can't get them. It's a 14-month delay. So they don't even have electric in that building yet because they got all the wires run. They don't have any electric running through it. They can't run elevators, which you all know a lot about elevators. And so they can't run any of that stuff right now because they can't get the panels. So, and every time they talk about it, the company says, I think it's not company. I think they're actually going through Duke Energy. Duke Energy saying, just can't get them right yet. So anyway, so I don't know when they're going to open up. They said the 3rd floor is done or almost completely done. They could start moving people into the 3rd floor right now if they had electric in there. But so I assume that's going to happen sometime in the next several months. I just don't know when. But it's going to, as you all know, it's going to add more traffic to Sandy Ridge Road, which is another reason why I'd actually now rather just, where before I was kind of like, let's just keep pushing the DOT out further and further. Now I'm really at that point where let's get it done. Let's just go ahead and get on this thing and get it done. Well, thank you all so much for coming. If you got any other questions, come on up, and I appreciate it.